And Japanese electronics giant Sony has been struggling with its smartphone division for quite a while now. For the past few years, it has chosen to focus only on its premium models. Now, after the launch of the Xperia XZs and the Xperia XZ Premium, Sony has launched the XA1 Ultra, a mid-range device with a relatively high price. Now, with the price hovering around 28,000 rupees, should the Xperia XA1 Ultra be on your shopping list? Well, we put it through our tests. Those familiar with Sony's design language won't find anything new with this model. The XA1 Ultra has a boxy design with the sides curved at the front and back. Sadly, the squared corners on the XA1 Ultra dig into your palms during use. Sony uses the term Ultra on its phones with big screens, and the 6-inch display puts this phone on that list. We like how the screen blends into the body. It is only when you power the phone on that you see that this is an edge-to-edge panel with almost no borders on the sides. While this does look nice, the thicker top and bottom immediately start looking old-fashioned. There are two speaker grills on the front, but these aren't stereo speakers as you might guess. The upper one is the earpiece and the lower one is just a design touch. Now, Sony could have opted for a stereo speaker setup which would have done justice to the big display. The power and volume buttons are well placed, as is the dedicated camera button. This is a two-step button which can be half pressed to lock focus and pressed fully to click the image. You can also quickly launch the camera app by long pressing the camera button. Sadly, the smartphone does not have a fingerprint scanner at this price point. Sony told Gadgets 360 that its fingerprint scanner location is unique and it plans to keep it consistent and limited to the flagship devices. It added that low-end and mid-range devices did not have fingerprint scanners in the past and it did not plan to introduce the feature this year. The Xperia XA1 Ultra has a 6-inch display with a resolution of 1080 by 1920 pixels and Corning Gorilla Glass 3 for protection. We found it to be bright enough indoors but a little too reflective outdoors. It has good viewing angles and you also get the option to tweak the display output and white balance. To power the smartphone, Sony has opted for the MediaTek Helio P20 octa-core processor with 4 cores clocked at 2.3 GHz and the other 4 cores clocked at 1.6 GHz. The phone also has 4 GB of RAM and 64 GB of storage, which is expandable via a dedicated micro SD card slot up to 256 GB. The XA1 Ultra has 2 nano SIM slots with support for 4G and VoLTE on both. The smartphone has a non-removable 2700 mAh battery with Qnovo adaptive charging tech, which reduces the charging speed when the battery nears 100% charge, improving the life of the battery. The Sony XA1 Ultra runs on Android 7.0 Nougat with its custom Xperia UI on top. It has the essence of stock Android, but Sony has added a few customizations. You can swipe right from the home screen to access Google Now or swipe from the top to trigger a search. Sony has customized a few settings like battery, where you will find the inclusion of stamina mode and ultra stamina mode, which help increase battery life. The storage and memory settings have also been worked on and we found the interface to be user-friendly. Xperia UI supports themes and you can choose from a few pre-installed ones or buy new ones from the Play Store. The XA1 Ultra offers good performance and it had close to 2 GB of RAM free on average after a day of use. The big screen helps you type comfortably in portrait mode and enjoy your games. The phone could run Asphalt 8 and Clash Royale without any issues while staying cool, but we saw the battery percentage dip at a higher rate when gaming. Battery performance otherwise is surprisingly good and this phone can last beyond 1 day with light to medium use. Sony has opted for a 23 megapixel camera with contrast and face detection autofocus, but not laser autofocus. You also get a single LED flash and not the dual tone type, which has become more common now. At the front, the 16 megapixel selfie camera gets a front flash and features optical image stabilization, which the rear camera misses out on. Sony told Gadgets 360 that using two OIS modules in a slim body wasn't possible and that there's a greater need for stabilization since the selfie is clicked using one hand. The camera app is made by Sony and has superior auto mode like found on most other Xperia smartphones. Apart from that, it has a manual mode which allows you to adjust the white balance, exposure, shutter speed, ISO and manual focus. We found superior auto mode to work as expected and the two-step shutter button to be quite useful. However, the camera would occasionally refuse to take a photo if it failed to focus. It would take time to focus and only then take the shot. While this could be helpful in some cases, you may miss a shot as there is no way to force it to shoot anyway. Photos turned out really well, though we must say that greens look a little artificial. We did not find any issues even when shooting against the light. Macros turned out well, but the lack of laser autofocus meant that it needed a few taps to focus where we wanted it to. In low light conditions, the camera adjusts itself accordingly, but the output wasn't as expected. Photos in low light appear grainy and there was some loss of detail. The phone is capable of full HD video with both the front and rear cameras, but not 4K video recording. Selfies come out really well and the OIS helps keep shakes to a minimum when recording video. In low light, we found the selfie flash to be helpful and the images were sharp with the flash on. The big display on the XA1 Ultra is ideal for watching content and playing games, but this phone could have done with stereo speakers. It delivers good battery life, but the lack of a fingerprint scanner and 4K video recording are two of the major drawbacks of this smartphone. The Xperia XA1 Ultra isn't a bad phone, but the competition makes it look overpriced. For the same price, you can pick between the OnePlus 3T and the Honor 8 Pro, which offer much better value for money. But if it's the big display that you want, then the Xiaomi Mi Max 2 will save you a lot of money. Thanks for watching. Do hit the thumbs up button and don't forget to subscribe. You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram at Gadgets360.